The news at 5:30 starts right now.
We begin tonight with San Antonio police identifying the person they say stabbed and killed a man Friday night. 31-year-old Abel Garcia now faces a first-degree murder charge. Garcia is accused of stabbing and killing 44-year-old Albert Adame in the neck. Stephen Cavazos outside the Bexar County Jail with new details surrounding this arrest.
Well, police were able to arrest Garcia yesterday, and now his arrest affidavit is revealing new information as to what led up to that deadly stabbing. Now, witness telling police she was standing outside a home on the 400 block of Harlan when Garcia grabbed her by the neck. She alleges Garcia was in possession of a knife stolen from Adame, and he appeared to be high. At some point, a second witness showed up, and all three entered the home where Adame was inside. It was during that time that he was stabbed. The first witness told police Garcia admitted to the stabbing before he left the scene. Police say both witnesses were able to provide a detailed description of Garcia, which helped lead to his arrest.
We were able to ask communities, the communities in those areas and the citizens, and they knew. They had seen him before. They knew where he might have been hanging out. Now,
police say they were able to arrest Garcia at a vacant home off Pleasanton Road. Now, Garcia is still here at the Bexar County Jail. His bond set at $200,000. Reporting outside the Bexar County Jail, Stephen Cavazos, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Stephen. We now know the identity of a 7-year-old girl who died in a crash Saturday involving a taco truck.
The crash happened last night just before 8 o'clock on Highway 90 and West Military Drive. The medical examiner says Avery Sabella died in the hospital after sustaining critical injuries. Witnesses told police the car was speeding when it had a blowout, slammed into a guardrail, flipped over, and then hit a taco truck. The woman driving the car and the man in the passenger seat are both still in the hospital. The man is believed to be the 7-year-old's father, and at last check, he is in serious condition.
New at 5:30, an accidental power surge causing a fire inside a home. It happened on Mercury Street over on the southeast side. Fire officials say a CPS Energy worker was working on a power line when the surge ran through that line in a utility closet connected to the house, causing a fire. It also shorted out the water heater and washer and dryer at the home. The 3 people inside made it out safely before fire crews arrived. Damage, we're told, was estimated at about $55,000. Fire officials say this was the only home impacted by that surge.
One person is dead and another in critical condition after a shooting overnight on the north side. It happened at an apartment complex on Vance Jackson. Our Alicia Barrera tells us more about the bloody crime scene police found when they got there.
Police say they have very little information to help them solve this case, and at this hour, they don't have a suspect identified. Therefore, they're looking into any possible evidence left behind by that alleged shooter, as well as looking into those claims made by the surviving victim. And police did have a heavy presence overnight at Park at Wall Street Apartments after they got a call from this first-floor apartment you see on the screen. That was around 11:40 last night. The call was for shots fired. Officers say they walked into the apartment and made their way to the living room where they found one woman dead with apparent gunshot wounds. In that same room, there was another victim who survived. He claims he was also shot. Here's what police say they're going off of for this investigation. The surviving victim claims there was a knock on the front door, and when he opened up, shots were fired. But as of now, police have not given a description of the suspect, and no arrests have been made in this case. And we did call the medical examiner's office. They say they don't have a positive identification on the victim. Police were able to state that the victim is a woman in her 20s. Reporting Alicia Barrera, KSAT 12 News.
To the latest now on the coronavirus, more than 14,000 people now have that illness worldwide. At least 300 people in China, where it started, have died. The first death outside of China now being reported. A 44-year-old man in the Philippines from Wuhan, China. The U.S. has temporarily closed its doors to foreign nationals who recently traveled to China. And now Massachusetts health officials are confirming their first case. The patient, a college student who traveled to Wuhan, China, the epicenter of the outbreak, now at home in isolation. Closer to home here in regards to Lackland Air Force Base serving as a quarantine zone, U.S. Representative Will Hurd releasing a statement saying, quote, the Americans being returned from overseas travel in China will have been screened 3 times for coronavirus before disembarking at secured facilities at Lackland Air Force Base. End quote. Meanwhile, last night, San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg releasing a statement emphasizing that there are no confirmed cases here in San Antonio, along with none throughout the entire state of Texas. To read his full statement, head over to our website at ksat.com.
Democratic presidential hopefuls are sprinting to the finish line in Iowa right now, a day ahead of the first vote of 2020. Last night, the results of the highly anticipated Des Moines Register poll were withheld over concerns about how the survey was conducted. But today, candidates are moving past that surprise decision and focusing on getting people out to caucus. Presidential candidates making their closing arguments to Iowa voters.
We legitimately have a chance to advance the human condition.
With the crucial first caucuses of the election cycle now just one day away.
Now is the time for action. Action is tomorrow night.
Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren speaking to overflow crowds.
The bad news is there's no more room inside. The good news is there's no more room inside. Sounds like to me that Iowa's ready for some big structural change.
But many voters saying their presence at campaign events across the state today.
I need your help because I know I can build the coalition to win.
Is not necessarily a sign of support.
I have not made up my mind for sure, and this is part of my process to determine who I think deserves my vote.
Candidates now using every possible minute of this home stretch of the Iowa campaign trail to win over those undecided voters.
If you stand with me, we'll end Donald Trump's reign of hatred and division. Begin to unify this country.
We believe we're the best campaign to go out there and beat Donald Trump. This is our first chance to begin to prove it, and it all starts with the caucuses.
Senators Warren, Sanders, and Klobuchar announcing they plan to fly back to Iowa tomorrow night after being in Washington for the impeachment trial. For voters here in Bexar County, we want to remind you the primary election is in just 1 month, but the deadline to register to vote is tomorrow. The elections office will be open tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m.
And sticking with politics here, KSAT News at 9 has a newsletter out right now to help you navigate the upcoming elections. The Vote 2020 newsletter will have a new edition out every Tuesday this year. If you're not signed up yet, don't worry, you can still do so on our website. Just head over to ksat.com/newsletters. Still ahead on this broadcast, it is that time of year again, the old Groundhog popping out today. We'll tell you if Phil predicted an early spring or 5 more weeks of winter, which we still haven't seen here.
But next, a scary scene last night in London, what police believe the motive was for a deadly stabbing there. Stay with us.
To international news now, London police say a man with a fake bomb strapped to his body stabbed 2 people on the street. The man eventually was shot and killed by police. One of the victims hospitalized with life-threatening wounds, while the others suffered less serious injuries. 3 undercover police officers in an unmarked car stopping that suspect. Investigators are giving no details on the assailant, but say the attack apparently related to Islamic extremism.
Well, spring is coming early this year. That's at least what Puxatawny Phil predicted. He did not see his shadow today. Thousands of people showed up in Gobbler's Knob, Pennsylvania for the Groundhog Day celebrations. Traditionally, if the groundhog sees his shadow, there will be 6 more weeks of winter. But that will not be the case this year, according to Phil. This is the 134th Groundhog Day and only the 20th time in history that he has not seen this shadow. But Sarah, we haven't seen winter in general.
You know what happens now is we get hit with winter.
And we are going to get a blast of winter, guys, in this week. You know, I actually saw the movie Groundhog Day for the first time this morning.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
And it was eye-opening. Better late than never. It was eye-opening. And yes, I felt for the meteorologist Bill Murray there because yeah, it's a rodent, not a meteorologist. But of course, it's all in good fun. Let's take a look at the aquifer. The aquifer is actually up about 1/10 of a foot over the past 24 hours, sitting pretty above average. And another good day in the pollen count. Mold is low at 340, mountain cedar low at 70, and ash is low at 20. And don't believe the rodent. I've got details on that winter coming up in just a few.
I know we're going to get a taste of winter later this week, but boy, it feels like spring out there.
It
People
really
were
does.
mowing their yards this morning, could smell the grass, hear the birds chirping. It's like winter, psst, whatever.
I haven't seen winter at all, I feel like.
Well, it didn't freeze at all during the month of January, but we're likely going to see at least a light freeze by Thursday morning in San Antonio and a big shot of colder air on the way. But first, we got to warm up, and we have to talk about a small chance for rain tomorrow as well. Take a look at the time lapse. Clouds have been increasing in the last couple of hours there. Our high today was 76 degrees, well above average. That is very spring-like. This after our morning low right around 39, so it was chilly to start the day. Here's the rest of the forecast for the evening. Just know that we're not going to cool down quite as much as we did last night because of the mostly cloudy conditions, a little bit higher dew points as well, so temperatures will be falling into the upper 50s by midnight rather than in the 40s. We'll have a south breeze at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's a look at our weather setup currently right now. You can see those clouds starting to increase, and there is going to be a little piece of energy moving over San Antonio in the next 24 hours. And so because of that, expect a mostly cloudy day tomorrow with this small possibility of isolated showers, and even a couple of rumbles of thunder will be possible. But mainly that's going to be in the second part of the day, in the afternoon and the evening. Again, very broken blotches of showers and storms on the radar probably late tomorrow in the afternoon and in the evening hours, with a better rain chance up in the hill country. But then around San Antonio, that chance is only going to be about a 20 to 30% chance for your Monday. Cloudy to start the day, 55 degrees. Again, a much warmer start than this morning when we were in the upper 30s. 68 by noon, mostly cloudy skies, and then afternoon we'll start to introduce that chance for isolated showers with a few rumbles of thunder mixed in as well. 72 for the high, south breeze, breezy at times up to 15 miles per hour, and a cloudy and mild evening tomorrow as well. Broader view here, quiet across the state of Texas other than those clouds moving in play. And as we take a wider look and turn on the temperatures, you can see that there's a very clear line of warmer weather across the central plains and colder weather up north. But this is not the coldest air that we're going to see. Take a look at this cold core of Arctic air in Canada right now, anywhere from 30 to 35 below in some places across Alaska and Canada. And cold air is very dense, and it just spills across the United States. It's a force to be reckoned with. We're going to see that cold front make it to Texas by Tuesday, but not to San Antonio until Tuesday night. So Tuesday is actually going to be quite warm. We'll be in the 80s. It's going to be one of those days where the Panhandle could be in the teens and in the 80s in San Antonio. So a crazy temperature spread. That's Texas weather for you. That front will be getting to us by Tuesday night and into Wednesday, and it's going to have a small potential to produce some light rain, cold rain around San Antonio. But as temperatures dip to below freezing up in the hill country, there is the potential for a light wintry mix as well. Most likely just cold rain, light rain here in San Antonio, but we'll be keeping our eye on that. As far as impacts to the roads, it's looking like it's going to be not much, if any at all, because again, it's going to be very light in nature up in the hill country, but it will get cold. By Thursday morning, we'll be flirting with that freezing line. Take a look at those high temperatures on Wednesday, only in the 40s. And mind you, it's going to be windy too, so wind chills in the 20s and 30s on Wednesday and Wednesday night.
70-degree difference in
pretty
Texas.
much. Pretty much.
Crazy.
Today's the day. Commercials, concerts, and we might play a football game.
Yeah, is something going on today that we should know about?
Right? I mean, if you're watching.
If you're watching, you don't like football.
Yeah, that's fine. But hey, coming up in sports, Super Bowl 54 underway. We'll update you on the action, and the Spurs with a big win in their last home game for nearly a month. That's next on Sports. No lead is too big in the NBA. Thankfully, Saturday night, the Spurs were on the winning side of one of those comebacks. San Antonio had been down by 19 in the third quarter against the Charlotte Hornets, but a strong second half offensively as well as defensively, holding the Hornets to just 27 second half points was ultimately the difference in the team's 114-90 victory. The effort was spearheaded by Jakob Poeltl, who chipped in 17 points and 7 rebounds in just 18 minutes for the Silver and Black. A DeMar DeRozan basket put the Spurs up 74-72 with about 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, and San Antonio never trailed again. This was a much-needed victory for the Spurs, who have now won 2 straight and won't play at home until February 26th as a part of the rodeo road trip.
It's big, especially with that second half that we had really got us going. I hope we can carry that over into our road trip. The spirits are high right now. We really got to try and ride that wave and keep it going.
you got to come out and compete. We didn't want to go out like that, especially getting ready for this road trip. And this next month gonna fly. Before you know it, it's a month and a half left, and every single game counts. So we can't let games like this we should win slip away.
To have a second half the way we did, leading in to these very important games on the road for the rodeo is important to have. We're going to be playing some very high level teams.
Some high-level teams indeed. The rodeo road trip begins tomorrow. At the team with the third best record in the West, the LA Clippers. Tip from the Staples Center slated for 9:30 p.m. tonight on Instant Replay. We'll preview that nearly month-long road trip.
Pro football coverage powered by Davis Law Firm.
The biggest game of the year is here. Super Bowl 54 in Miami features a matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners, a 1-point underdog, looking for a record-tying 6th Super Bowl title where they would join the Patriots and the Steelers. For the Chiefs, a win gives them their 2nd title and ends a 50-year drought. This game just getting underway from Hard Rock Stadium. We are in the first quarter and the game is scoreless. We'll have all of the highlights from this one, as well as the best commercials and post-game reaction tonight on Instant Replay.
I didn't want to talk about the doubters and stuff like that. I wanted to talk about the ones who believed in me because, they was there from the start. And I want to thank all the coaches who ever coached me, on this long journey. I want to thank my brother, my sisters, and my teammates. They're my brothers too as well.
Ravens QB Lamar Jackson took home the biggest award Saturday night as he was unanimously named the NFL's most valuable player. He received all 50 votes, joining Tom Brady as the only 2 players to be unanimous selections. This year was a historic year for Jackson, who became the first player in league history to produce over 3,000 yards passing and 1,000 yards rushing in a single season. Here's the full list of winners. Defensive Player of the Year goes to the Patriots cornerback Stephon Gilmore. Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas is the Offensive Player of the Year. 49ers defensive end and the Cardinals QB Nick Bosa and Kyler Murray were named the Defensive and Offensive Rookies of the Year. Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill is the Comeback Player of the Year, and Ravens head coach John Harbaugh is named Coach of the Year. The Centennial Hall of Fame class was also honored at Saturday night's NFL Honors celebration. Jimmy Johnson, of course, among those in attendance. The former Dallas Cowboys and Miami Dolphins coach joins former Pittsburgh Steelers coach Bill Cowher as the 2 coaches inducted as a part of the 2020 class. Johnson coached the Cowboys for 5 years and 2 Super Bowl titles for the 92 and 93 seasons. The most competitive contest of the day won't include any penalties, with the exception perhaps of roughing the passer and dog collar tackles. I'm talking, of course, about the 16th annual Puppy Bowl. 96 fur babies from 61 shelters making up the rosters. Team Fluff and Team Rough. At the end of regulation, Rocky Road made a beeline for the end zone to lift Team Fluff over Team Rough 63-59. Gina was named the MVP of today's game, Most Valuable Puppy. This year's bowl also included 5 special needs dogs. Of course, the real purpose of the event is to encourage adoptions. Not to be outdone, the 7th annual Kitten Bowl also taking place today. The defending champs, the Little Longtails, were up 24-22 at half, but Nickel of the expansion team, the Courageous Cougars, comes down with the ball as time expires to win 57-51. Alvin Katmara was named the game's most valuable kitten. Most importantly, every member in today's big game was adopted.
We knew we could do it, but we didn't know it was going to actually happen. So when we went 19-0, it gave us a belief that we could do this. And ever since that, we've just been steamrolling and going as a unit and believing in each other.
Tonight on Instant Replay, we'll get to know the TMI Episcopal boys basketball team, who's had quite their turnaround, winning 19 games in a row to start the season. That and more on Instant Replay this evening.
For some real fun next year, they ought to have the Cats versus Dogs.
Oh my gosh. I don't know that would be fair.
I'd watch.
I don't know. I feel like the Cats can scratch it out.
Yeah, they're vicious.
We'll be right back.
One last look at the forecast. It is going to be nice tomorrow, but an isolated shower or two is possible. Warm on Tuesday, then an Arctic blast of winter sends our temperatures tumbling down into the 30s and 40s. And we're going to take a look at Silly Sock Sunday.
Silly sock.
I love those.
Let me guess. It's Tim.
It is. Beard
How
football.
about this? Go Chiefs!
Go Chiefs.
Woo! Spivey, go Chiefs!
We'll see you tonight. Don't forget, we'll still be on.